Sponsored by Carnation. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM in New Orleans. This show's entrance has been edited, produced, and directed by Gwen from Perfect Trust Productions, LLC. You can find us at perfecttrustproductions.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday night's segment of Horsefly Chronicles Radio with myself, Julia Syracusa, and Phil Syracusa. We're broadcasting live from the International Public Radio and the United Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM from New Orleans. This evening's show is fully sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. You'll have to do a few things in order to participate. Go over to our YouTube channel, UFO Paranormal Radio or International Public Radio. You can also go into all of the Facebook stations, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo, News on the Flip Side, Twitch, SoundCloud, and Podbeam. You could go over to our group, Horsefly Chronicles Radio. If you're not in there, get in there. So tonight, guys, we have a very special guest. So please let's welcome Mr. Steve Dills to the show. Steve is a paranormal investigator with over a decade of experience investigating the paranormal. Steve founded Transcend Paranormal in 2010, where he remains the director of the team. Transcend has helped raise funds for over 15 locations and organizations. Steve is also the team historian for the Ghost Finders for its 11th season, which streams on Paraflix. We love Paraflix. So please let's welcome him to the show.
Welcome.
Yay.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. Nice. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So, Steve, take us to the beginning of your story. What drove you into the research of the paranormal, which stems probably from very intense experiences at a very young age, right?
Yeah, so my adventure into the paranormal started when I was in probably 4th or 5th grade. Maybe even before then. We had, my father had got a job opportunity that he couldn't pass up. And so we moved from Pennsylvania to Virginia. And that might as well have been a world away, because at that time, we had AOL, we had email, but like I didn't have an email account, so I couldn't talk to any of my friends or any of like my family, anybody, and everything that I knew and loved and was familiar with was gone, right? And so we moved to Virginia to this brand new house, and so everybody, when I say that this house was like ridiculously active, immediately you have this picture of like this creepy old house. It was brand new. It was weird. It was definitely a weird house, but it was brand new. And so I think a mix of there being activity there, topped with me being very vulnerable in this new location, pretty sad and depressed. Like all my friends are gone. It was just around my birthday, so I had like, celebrated my birthday. Like I was looking forward to hanging out with all my friends and everything. And here I am in this new state with absolutely nobody. I knew nobody. And I think that put me into a vulnerable position. And that spurred some activity that, it affected our entire family. But for whatever reason, this one thing decided that like I was going to be its play toy. Oh, there's Rob. Hi, Rob. How are you doing?
All right, I can see that.
So, it started out with me hearing like muffled conversations at night when I'd be waking up. And then that would kind of move into the sound of my name being whispered and screamed into my ear in the evenings, hearing full on, like, very loud conversations, still muffled, um, having my bedroom door and my closet doors opening and closing. I got really sick for a number of months. And it was to the point that my parents were taking me to doctors. Nothing was wrong with me at all. Perfectly fine. Like, physically. Um, and it just kind of like spiraled. It got pretty intense in just some of the encounters, and seeing, shadow figures, having family members pushed down the steps at home, being held, like they couldn't leave a room because they felt like something was holding them or holding them back. Um, Doppelgangers, which was really weird, in the form of our family dog, out of all things. You like
Wow.
Typically you think it's like people, right? You see like a doppelganger and it's typically like another person. This was our family dog, which was very odd. Um, and then, you know, just this whole slew of really weird things, of objects moving, being thrown around, thrown at me, which was like my least favorite part. But all of this scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And so when I got older, and moved into, college, and finally had a car and can move around on my own, I kind of kept that in the back of my head. All these experiences that I had as a kid, and wanting to understand and learn about it. Like, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? Um, and from there, it kind of spurred me along the path of wanting to help other people. Because I always feel like your home should be your safe place, right? It should be like your escape from the world, a place that you can go and be yourself. You can relax and be, feel safe at. And that was not the case for me. Like, I was deathly afraid to go home. Most kids, when they get out of school, they want to like hop on the bus and go home directly, immediately, and do whatever. I hated it. I loathed going home because I knew that when I got home, this was going to happen again. And
Mm.
so it kind of made me want to try to help other people, and help them understand what's going on, and if nothing else, just being somebody that, you know can I can lend an ear and not look at you crazy. Uh, so that's really what got me into the field, is just all these things as a kid, and then wanting to help others so that they don't they don't experience the same thing at home, to the point that they don't even
It,
feel comfortable being there anymore.
it always starts when we're a kid. I mean, that's really where all of the paranormal investigators in the field, they've been traumatized in some certain way that pushes them into all the research to
Hmm.
really dive into and understand. And unfortunately, we just come out with more questions to all these. I mean, just,
Yep.
yeah, so many questions.
So, yeah, it's crazy. So, Steve, I have a question for you.
The one thing that I really want to say is it's everybody always thinks that the haunted houses are old ones.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
we can
true.
relate to that because, well, we're in the Horsefly house and it was built, it's not an old house.
Yep.
It's not true. It's not true.
You said objects were being thrown at you. What kind of objects?
So the most prominent one, there were two. The first is this glass vase that held these fake flowers. And I always, I was never a big fan of these fake flowers. And it was like this tiny vase. It had these marbles that held the fake flowers in place. And I hope my mom's not listening. But that would always get tossed. It would get tossed at somebody. It would get tossed on the ground. You'd come home. It's on the ground. It's somewhere else. Something or someone just did not like those flowers, other than me. Um, and so that would happen very, very frequently. One of the biggest objects, I didn't actually realize this was thrown at me, or on me, I should say, um, until my parents told me a little bit later. I was asleep. My parents came in to wake me up for school one day. And when they got into the bedroom, I had this painting. I had this big painting that was hanging over my bed. And somehow it came off of the wall and was laid directly on top of me as I slept. and it did so in such a fashion that the painting was facing upwards. So it wouldn't have just fallen like the nail fell out of the wall or anything. It had to lift off of the nail and then turn and then land. So a very not typical reaction to something falling, right? When you think of a painting or something falling, it's going to fall off the wall and probably land face down because it's heavier on that side with the frame and everything. This one decided it was not going to do that, and it landed face up on me, and it was in such a manner that I didn't even wake up. So I don't know how long I slept with this big massive painting on me. um, but my parents came in, and they were like, "What is going on?" And so they pulled it off and got me up and was asking me what was going on. Uh, so there was that. Um, I mean, just all sorts of random little things would go and disappear and reappear or be tossed, and moved around the room. It was a hot mess.
There's something with flowers because, in our house, flowers don't last. I mean, that I can't have flowers in this house. They die. They die in like a day. So, did you ever find out what was haunting that house? Was it well, obviously it was negative, but did you ever find out the core of the problem?
Um, well, to I guess kill two birds with one stone. Because Pam, I saw your question was the house on a battlefield. It was not actually directly on a battlefield, but it was very close by. The property it was in Hanover County, Virginia. And for Civil War buffs, that's a fairly fought over piece of land. It's just north of Richmond City, in Virginia, and so there was a lot of Civil War activity.
Yeah.
Um, I think that it probably had something to do with that. Not the house, obviously, but probably something that was related to one of the Civil War um, troop movements through the area. Um, One of the other prevalent spirits in the house that I myself didn't see, and my son's walking in naked, by the way. So, and he's one, so it's
So
probably safe. Um, Hi, buddy. Uh, so uh, I think it probably had to do with that. And the reason I think that is because one of the other prevalent spirits that I never experienced or saw, but the females, like my mother, my aunts, and a number of guests that were female that came to the house, they would experience this lady in a. Are you giving me something? Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. All right, go to mama. Um, they would experience and see this woman in a gray um, um, hoop skirt, like a gown,
Mhm.
a dress, and they would see her typically moving out of the room. Like if you were walking into the living room, she is exiting into like the dining room or something. Um, One of the biggest experiences that we had around that was my father was outside raking leaves one afternoon. My mother was taking a nap on the couch, and she was woken up by this woman, this spirit, in her dreams. So she had always seen the back of this female, like walking through the house, but this was the first time she actually saw a full blown, like, I guess, person in her dreams. That was the exact same spirit that we had experienced in the house. And she told my mom, "You need to wake up. You got to get up now. You have to go check on your husband." Turns out he was having a massive heart attack in the front yard. And so, had it not been for that, my mom would not have woke up, and he probably would have continued to be in the front yard. So I think it's probably just based off of like the hoop skirt and that kind of period in history, probably Civil War related. I don't know why, because that was like a lot of swampland. Um,
Mhm.
so there weren't really any battles there. Probably would have been very difficult to fight on that property.
Yeah.
But there would have been a lot of troop movement through that area. We know that there are a number of burials throughout that neighborhood and some of the other neighborhoods right nearby, based off of some of the markings on like the trees, that there were soldiers buried there. So I don't know if it was just a skirmish, and just not like a full blown battle or what. But that's the closest thing
Mhm.
I can figure out. I have not been back to that
Mhm.
house. We lived there for 2 years, and it was 2 years too long. And so after that, we sold it, and I have not been back.
Yeah.
And I'm
Ugh,
afraid to go and talk to the the,
I
the
don't
owners
blame you.
now.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going through. That's always so weird. Like, you always wonder if they're experiencing the same things that we did, or is it just, do they go after certain families? Like, it's just really,
Yeah, I don't know, because we didn't, after we moved out, didn't have any experiences anymore. Not at least from like that style of thing. I wasn't like scared nonstop. Um,
yeah.
so I
So
don't know.
that's crazy. I mean, we've had experiences like that too. Both grew up in haunted houses,
But
and now
I
we're
never
here. I
had,
think that they get attached to
right, but I
certain
never
people.
had something thrown at me.
No,
That's a whole different ballgame.
no,
And I just couldn't imagine
yeah,
what that would take for a spirit to do something
a
like
lot of
that.
energy.
Um,
Yeah, this is more of like a mind manipulating
that's more
haunting.
of a poltergeist, right?
Yeah,
Throwing an item. That's wild. I mean, it's scary too. I mean, something got thrown at me besides a baseball and catch.
you call me.
Isn't
Yeah,
that amazing? If you really think about it, if you really think about that, that is amazing.
I love,
it is. Like, as a kid, it scared the shit out of me.
yeah.
Obviously, but like,
What?
as an adult, and now that I've experienced some of these things, it's really interesting to think about just the human body alone and all of the energy that it takes to do simplistic tasks like throwing a baseball. It takes a lot of energy. Granted, we can throw a baseball a lot. But
We
it
have a
does
lot
take a
of people.
lot of energy. There's a lot of mechanics going on there just to throw something or move something. So to think that something had such a like desire to toss this glass vase on the ground, um, all the time, with the ugly flowers and the marbles, that were a pain in the butt to pick up. Uh, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So you, you so you guys have helped and supported so many locations through public investigations, lectures, events. What are some of the historical sites that you and your team have been to?
Um, we've been to quite a few. One of the things that we do, like you had said, is we partner with historical locations, and we try to go back and do as much as we can to kind of help them out. Um, One of the places that I got very invested in, and um, I guess because of that, I am now the president of this location, or the nonprofit that owns and operates the location, is the Hanover Tavern. Um,
Mhm.
and it's one of those things where when we start working with these locations, we want to try to help them survive. Most historical locations don't get federal, state, or local funding at all. If they do, it's a fairly aggressive process. There tends to be, a few. There's at least a number of historical locations, in any given area that are probably also fighting for the same, grants or money or resources.
Mhm.
Um, so we try to partner with these locations and go back and whether it's developing a ghost tour, or helping with historical tours. One of my teammates, Tiffany, and Chris, both of them go and, once a month, go up to the tavern and they give, haunted history tours. And that is, straight completely them, 100% volunteer. um, and so, we haven't traveled too terribly much because of that. We tend to be pretty busy just, supporting around here. But we've been to places like, St. Albans Sanatorium, one of my favorites,
Ooh.
Sweet Springs Sanatorium, which is also like one of my absolute favorites. Um, we go up to Gettysburg. We'll be up in Gettysburg for the Battlefield Bash, and so we like to hit up some of the battlefields up there, the bridges and some of the houses and homes that we have folks that are friends that either own them or operate them. Um, Christy, I see in chat. We go to a place called Fleetwood Church, which is an old kind of a commoner's church in a place called Culpeper. It's Brandy Station, Virginia. It's the location of the largest cavalry battle in the Civil War. So we go out there and we work with that location, and just a bunch, man. We try
Wow.
to do as much as we can to help out without like burning ourselves out insane.
Yeah.
Because you
Well,
can
that's great.
definitely run thin on that one. You can run too hard sometimes and get burnt out. So
Yep. That's amazing that you guys do all that. Let's see if we can see chat. Okay, my eyes are really bad, but let's see. Can you see?
Yeah.
Who? Call them out.
Well, we have Lynn. Hi, Lynn. We have Christy. Hi, Christy. And Pammy. And Christy again. And Lynn. And Donna. And who's that? Elvis Presley? But no, can't be Elvis Presley.
Rob. Rob was down
And
there.
Rob was over there sometime.
Yep, I saw him before.
So hello, everybody, and welcome to Horsefly Chronicles Radio. We never had 7 people listen to the show once, so this is awesome. Hey, Steve, you know what's interesting is I want your thoughts on this. We have pictures of the battlefield in Gettysburg, and we have all these big orbs, not small, not dust particles, these big orbs. Do you think it's water vapors, or do you think it is what it is?
it's so hard to say. The most difficult thing about photography to me is being able to consistently recreate the photograph, right? Because a lot of times when people take a picture, they will, take a picture this way and then they'll turn and go take a picture over here and then a picture over here. And you've changed your angle, you've changed your lighting, you've changed your environment. Um, Even the most simplistic things as the air motion or the motion that you are moving is creating, air movement around your hand, which is around your lens. Um, it's hard. It's hard. It's really difficult to say, especially with photographs. I've seen some really, really cool orb photos. I've seen some really cool orb videos, but I've also seen ones where like people walk through a place like St. Albans. They'll walk through the floor, walk down a hall, turn around and take a picture, and there's just like orbs galore because they just kicked up all the dust on the ground. Um,
Yeah.
so it's hard because, like to your point, you do have to consider the fact that there is going to be water in the air at all times, right? That's humidity, um, and so it could be that it could be um, any like if there's like bugs in the air, but it's difficult. You know what I mean? Like without seeing it and without having something to compare it to, like um, what we try to do when we're taking photographs is like burst shots where if you click the button, you take like 5 to 10 pictures at a time, and that way we have like a really good sample of photos, hopefully, where there is nothing, then you see some anomalous behavior, and then nothing again. Or if you get anomalous behavior for all 10 photos, then you probably are picking up something like water vapor or dust or whatever's in
So,
the air.
yeah, it's always good to take a lot of pictures.
hmm and that's the difficult thing because a lot of times even I do it where I only want to take pictures of the cool things in a location. like I'm from a photography standpoint, I'm like looking like, oh, what would be a cool angle to take at this at this this object or whatever it is. What's a really neat angle to capture this. And so I'm not always like typically taking buku photos. What we will do is we run around with camcorders. A few of us have some really nice cameras that have like can film in 0 lux, and so we will utilize those. Uh, and then we do have a couple of team members that have some really nice high end cameras, and they do photography on the side, so that really super helps because
Yeah.
they take the pictures and they know what they're looking at and what they're looking for, and then I will mess around with cameras and all that sort of stuff. So.
Fascinating.
Residential cases. Do you guys do a lot of those?
Um, a few. Um, it's residential cases are always kind of weird for me. And so we have some case managers on our team that handle that. Um, and we've got about 18 team members, so we're a somewhat larger group, probably larger than most. Um, and so we kind of divvy the tasks a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
and so handling private case management is something that two of my team members, Rhonda and Tiffany, and as a byproduct, most of us do handle. Um, but one of the things that we have implemented is a fairly rigorous process, not like impossible, but um, a fairly rigorous process to request our assistance. And the biggest reasons for that is we've gone into residential cases where one of my favorites to share is we showed up to this house. We had done this interview with this client. Showed up to the house, and she lets us in. We walk in with some of our equipment, and there are four other ladies sitting at her dining uh, her kitchen table, and they're sitting there enjoying a bottle of wine. And
Wow.
uh, the very first question is, what time are the camera crews getting here? And
Mm-hmm.
it immediately, like, it went from, oh, okay, you don't actually need help, you want entertainment.
Yeah.
um and so we tried to explain that we're not a TV show, we're here to help you. And that's not what they wanted. So we've changed it up quite a bit on that front. Thank you, Christy. And hey, John, how's it going, man? So we implemented this kind of a case study now. And so what we do is we'll interview you at least two times over the phone first. That is the very first thing, before we go on site. And even before all that, we ask you to fill out some documentation and some paperwork that kind of gives us a brief um, history, a timeline
Yeah.
of when experiences are happening. When did you first have your experience as a person? Not necessarily at that location, but all throughout your history. When did you first have an experience?
Mhm.
Did that experience impact what's going on today? And those sorts of things. We're also looking for, when we get on site, the very first thing we do is really environmental analysis. We're not looking for anything paranormal at that point. We are looking for high EMF. We had one case where a gentleman was sleeping. Well, actually, a couple were sleeping in their bed, and they were experiencing night terrors. They were experiencing just tons of stuff but only in their bedroom, only while they were asleep. They'd wake up and experience all these things. They also had a box fan on their nightstand, like literally 2 feet away. And we found out that when we cut on that box fan, it was pumping massive amounts of EMF directly towards their heads. And so we asked them to remove that, and voila, no more ghosts.
Yeah.
Um, so we have to. That's one of the big things we're looking for. We also, and this is where it gets a little iffy, and that's why we have folks that we consult from a medical standpoint. We want to look at, are you taking any medications? What
Yeah.
medications are you taking? Are they going to be are these two medications going to be creating hallucinations for you?
Yeah.
Visual or audible. We've also we also showed up at a house one time where um, this guy was having, well, reportedly having tons of activity. He wanted us to walk outside because he was also experiencing tons of activity out back. um, and we walked out back, and lo and behold, he had a massive marijuana farm. And like, this was before it was legal. And so we were like, all right, gonna go now because I don't want to get, like, in trouble for this thing. uh,
Yeah. But the
so
funny thing is that these medications could bring out could make you more vulnerable to paranormal activity,
They
right?
could, and so that's why we try to do our best to first rule out, is it something going on that is entirely natural, right? Is it something that is, we can easily explain with old wiring in a house, or a mix of high EMF spikes, or um, here in Virginia, for example, there is radon in the ground, and when
Mhm.
that breaks down, it seeps into older basements, and that in and of
Mhm.
itself, if built up and not taken care of, can create hallucinations. It can create activity. And so, those are the things we're looking for first and foremost before we say, okay, well, now let's start looking at what are the preternatural or paranormal experiences that you're having. Now, how can we help address that? And so that's kind of like our process. It's definitely it's fairly in depth, but it does help us. It helps us a lot understand what's going on, why it's happening, where it's happening, who it's happening to,
Mhm.
and it also kind of covers our tails a little bit too, because I don't, if we go into a location and um, we start saying, okay, there's a spirit here, there's a spirit there, this is that, and then the client has an issue and maybe attempts to harm themselves or others, and then blames it on the spirits or us,
Mhm.
now we're legally liable now. So we've got to be really careful when we go into residential
Mhm.
houses. So
Right. Yeah, it's a really hard job.
Paranormal? Well, it could be draining. What kind of activity can radon possess to a person?
just I mean, similar to any radioactive byproduct, it can create audible and visual hallucinations. So hearing things, seeing things, and it doesn't necessarily have to happen to just one person. It could be a group of people, because we have seen, like, I believe it's folia do. I think I can't remember the term exactly, but where like groups of people are experiencing things and they're all seeing something, but it's not actually happening because they're being affected by something, whether it's something they're eating, something they're drinking, um, or something that they're breathing in. Um, so got to be careful with all that stuff, and that's why one of the things that we invested in is radiation detectors now, Geiger counters
Oh,
when
that's
we go
good.
into locations. We want to make sure that like we ourselves are not poisoning ourselves when we're going into some of these spots.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's get into the ghost finders. So you're the historian for its 11th season. How did this come about, and how has it been for you, this whole experience?
So, first off, it's been a blast. I love it. I love everybody that I work with. Rob and Heather and Dan and Melody and Megan and everybody behind the scenes, Max and just everybody has been great. Um, it's an interesting way that it started. I co-host a Paracon and then host a Paracon, and so the one that I co-host with Christy and her team. Um, we actually invited Megan Deputy to come and be a speaker at the event. We knew that Megan lived somewhat close by to Virginia, and so we are like, okay, well, let's see if she wants to come up and join us. And so she agreed, and that was amazing. It was awesome. And so she came and or agreed to come. And then as we started talking and communicating back and forth, she's like, "Oh, by the way, one of the other ghost finders, Dan, wants to come and join too. Is that okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, duh, of course. Like that is perfectly awesome." Um, so then Dan was involved, and then they're like, "Hey, listen, Rob wants to come down and do this too." And I was like, shit, okay, that's awesome. Like, let's do this. We're doing, we got the ghost finders now. Um, and so the first time meeting them in person was at a Paracon where I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Um, and we had a blast. I somehow impressed them in some manner, and knock on wood. But I guess a couple months later, I got a phone call from Rob out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey, you live close to Sweet Spring Sanatorium, right?" And I'm like, close enough." why? What's up? He's like, we're filming. Do you want to come and be part of it? And I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, do you want me to like cook? Do you want me to like carry the cameras? Do you need me to charge batteries? Like, what do you need me to do? And he's like, well, we want you in front of the camera. And I'm like, oh God, okay. So so went up there and I was a guest on that episode. Um, and then the following episode, um, they pretty much brought me on, which was awesome. And that was actually at Christy's location. I see Christy in there, Christy Parrish. How are you doing, Christy? I am so glad to see you. By the way, I hope you're doing good. I saw your post. I did not realize you were going hard there for a while. So I'm glad to see you feeling better and on. But yeah, sorry, total tangent. But yeah, so went up to the Oliver house, and that was amazing. It was a great opportunity, and then they asked me to join for the Ghost Finders, the actual cast and crew. And so from there, it's just been a blast. We've been traveling around a lot, filming at a lot of really really cool places, and some very intense experiences at some of these locations. So it's been fun. It has been a blast. I've enjoyed it.
Well, congratulations. Like,
Thank you.
that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't ever follow you back home.
Um, Not recently. Every so often I will get a hitchhiker, but they don't typically stay around for too long. Um, I don't. I don't think it. Yeah, I don't. I haven't had too much of an issue with that. I know, like some of my team, some of our locations. Every so often we have something that tends to come home. Um, but we've also been investigating some of those locations for upwards of 10 years. So I feel like it's more of a familiarity thing than a hitchhiker. It's like, yeah, we're gonna go to Steve's house now. So every so often, but it's not been. Luckily, I have not had to do that. I haven't had any additional roommates from investigating.
Yeah, that's good. That's horrible. Hitchhikers. I like that word.
Do they put their thumbs up and say, "Hey, give me a ride back"?
Like freeloaders, they come and move things around in your house, but they don't pay for anything. Except
That's what he says all the time. I mean, if you're gonna put the lights on, like pay the bill. Or
Well, what I see is if you're going to throw things around my house, clean, pick up a broom, a mop,
hide
something.
the keys. Yeah, really.
do something
I mean,
useful.
some more parlor tricks, like help out around here.
One of the locations that we investigate and is the Dunlora Inn in Mineral, Virginia, and one of the spirits there is known to turn on the coffee and make coffee in the morning.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
God.
I want that one. Like that is the one I want.
See, these are the things that.
Now that I like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like that is perfect. That's perfection
Now,
right
is
there.
that the K cup or the percolator?
It's K cups. Surprisingly, it's K cups.
That's crazy.
Weird,
Well,
right?
speaking that's a crazy story. Speaking of Paracons, like you said before, so you're hosting a Paracon, right, in January, and I know that you would like to do something special and give two.
Well, that's why we have so many people in the chat room. Everybody wants something for free. Everybody wants.
Well, it's for free. It's
That's
for
why
me.
we have listeners tonight. Well, on my next show, I'm giving away $500.
No, you're not.
And Monopoly money. Yes, I am.
He will give Monopoly money.
I
Okay,
will.
he's done that
Nail it.
before. Okay.
So that's the secret to get listeners. Give something for free. Oh, all right. That's how
Doesn't
that
love
works.
free things. Everybody loves free stuff.
So Steve has a pair of tickets to his newest Paracon, right, in January.
January 21st.
Okay, so to the first person in chat that might know who our first guest was on this network. So some people do know that we were on Paranormal K, but we're on this amazing network. So if you know the first guest that we had on, it's been a year.
A year, it's over a year, and I don't even know the answer to that.
I know the answer because I Googled it and I sent it to Steve.
I've been on a radio show for 3 years. I don't even know who the first
well,
guest
you don't know
was.
anything. I'm the one who does everything. Anyway, if anyone could give us that name, and people do know him, you get 2 free tickets. To what Paracon? What's the name of the Paracon? And
The
what's
Hanover Tavern Paracon, and it's
Oh,
man, I want those tickets.
it's Hanover Tavern Paracon. It is at Hanover Tavern in Hanover, Virginia. Very original, right? And it's January 21st, 11 a.m. to 6 or 7. There's a whole slew of speakers. You'll see me there, so you get to throw tomatoes at me in person, and heckle me if you wish. I will be there with the Ghost Finders and a lot of other folks. There's some folks in chat that will be there too. So
very awesome. I wonder if anybody's gonna know this. I can't see because can you
So okay, so you're going to the first person.
the first person out in this network.
This network.
That's what you got confused.
All right. So you know the answer.
I know the answer.
Okay. So then, what are we
I
doing
can
this
write
now?
it down for you.
you guys got to get your Google Foo on.
I already know it, and so does he, and so does Steve because I sent it to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
On this network again.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I'm sure later someone might. And if you
All right. So
figure
this
it
is gonna be
out-
a tough one. So to the listener out there, if you want the free tickets, who doesn't want free tickets to that event?
to see the Ghost Finders? Hell
Let's
yeah.
give you a hint.
You can't do that.
We can give a little hint.
He's a cheater.
Okay, so
See, he
here's
gives Monopoly money out and he's a cheater. He's always big cheater.
you have to have some fun. So this person, here's a hint, has a book out about the house they rented. So we have Daniel Cleese, question mark, answer is no. So that eliminates you, Michelle. Sorry.
I can't see anything.
Well, keep guessing. You can keep guessing.
The same person keep gussing?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Go
yeah,
for it.
The first
I feel like
person to give it, right?
First person that types it in correctly gets it.
They're all-
Constantly. No,
They're all Googling it. You
No.
know they're Googling it.
Pammy, Elvis left the building.
I can't.
Richard Estep? No.
No.
All right, so the first, okay,
Rob
so you
Thompson,
keep,
no, sorry. Don't worry, you're gonna see
this
my
is a
face
tough one.
real
Honestly,
close
this would be like a
because my
3-hour show
eyes.
because no one's going to get this.
No one's gonna get this.
I'm going to have to throw another hint. So here's another hint.
Well, let's ask Steve if that's okay with him. Could we throw little
Oh, you-
hints?
These are your 2 free tickets to hand out, so you do you.
Oh.
You have a book out, Philip?
Well,
Yeah, I
yeah.
do, but this ain't, I wasn't the first. That's good, Christy, but no, this ain't me. No, I don't rent this house. We own it, unfortunately. So Ghost Adventures was at this person's location. They have a book out, and Ghost Adventures said they didn't find nothing in the home, but we know
You're giving everything away.
we didn't know. No, there was something in the home actually. So
There
Ghost Adventures
was.
got that wrong.
There
That's a pretty big hint. And this person has out 3 books. It's-
Very good books.
Yeah, very, very good books.
Can you see? Should I bring this close up? Everybody's gonna see being really. I don't like being too up close.
So
I can't see. Sorry, guys.
it says April. No.
Oh, wait. What's that? Go down.
It's not Mike.
No.
I really don't think anyone's going to get that.
No. But you guys do know of him. I can promise you that. Yes, he's been on Ghost Adventures. It's a tough one. Right, Steve?
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one. I don't even know what's the name of his book again.
I'm not gonna say
just tricked
that.
What's the name of his book again?
I like
We're
that. That's a
coming
trick
to the
question.
end of the show, so I mean, how are we gonna play this off?
I don't think anyone's going to get it.
Well, what we could do, if someone does get it, you can always message me on Facebook, Julia Syracuse.
Well, that's not fun. I want it to be on the
But
show.
I know.
I want to
but
announce
what
the
do you
winner.
want-
We have a new comment.
What
Let's
do
see
you
what
want
the
me
new
to do?
comment is. Mike Rickster.
No.
No, he wasn't even on our show.
No.
It's not
Hey,
Chip.
you know, Michelle,
Hey, guys.
do you listen to Horsefly Chronicles radio? Because Mike has never been on our show. Chip, no. Chip Cobra,
No. Oh my God, you guys are really out.
Well, keep guessing. We can chat some more, and then if
Okay.
nobody gets it, at the end of the show, then we'll do something. We'll figure
Okay.
something out.
Hit him up with some questions. What questions do you have?
Oh,
Because I've been talking all night.
We'll figure out
Yeah.
something.
What do you got?
well, what do I got? I mean, I have a whole book
What
on
about
questions.
so equipment?
No, I want to talk about shadow people
Mm.
and what's your thoughts on that? Because shadow people seem to be different.
Okay, shadow folk. It's always an interesting and weird thing for me. I've not dived into dissecting the ideology of what shadow people are, or shadow figures, whatever you want to call them. Um,
I'm answering.
it's always an odd experience, right? Because typically you don't see them straight on. It's always like corner, kind of darting around corners or whatnot. Um, but I know, for example, I've had some pretty prominent experiences with what I would classify as a shadow person. One being at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, and literally there are four of us, and we watched this. I wouldn't say it's a full body apparition because it was just straight black, dark. It was way past midnight. So it's pitch black. And for those of you that have been to Old South, it's pretty dark in there, anyways, at any point in the day. And we were in the emergency room, and we watched this massive shadow figure walk into the room, literally walk into the room. Um, and there were four of us in there. Each of us had taken a corner in the room, and we watched as it walked from person to person behind each person.
Wow.
And then it stopped. Of course, it stopped at me. Like, of all the people, it stopped at me. And kind of like, I guess it was right behind me, and it kind of like moved up to directly behind me, and I doubled over, and I started like getting like super emotional. Um, I picked up, I can't remember the name now, but I picked up a name, an age, that it was this person that he was a male, he had passed away there, um, in the emergency, or in the hospital, I should say. And he didn't realize that he was going to die when he was visiting. Like, he went there, just thinking that everything was fine, and it turned out he had like a heart attack or a stroke or something, and he ended up passing away, while he was there at the hospital. But that, like, he was pretty certain that he was fine. So very, very stubborn, right? And I remember very vaguely the beginning of that, like doubling over and getting all this information, which is really weird for me because I'm not like psychic or anything. Um, and then the rest of my team members watched as it walked out of the room, and I am still doubled over, like out of it, completely out of it. They had to walk me out of the room, and essentially, I guess we walked outside, and then I finally like came to again. Um, and it was wild. Like, I talked to one of the mediums that was there, and um she ended up picking up like the exact same name and age and all these sorts of things. Everything that I had picked up, she walked in there and picked all that up. And it wasn't like something that was imprinted on me. Like, like subconsciously you can be
Yeah.
like, okay, you're going to experience, this, and this. And then you go and experience those things because you already have a biasness to experience them. So it was interesting because, like, at first thought, I've heard discussion where shadow people aren't necessarily human or previously human. And then having an experience with one that seemed like it was. Um, Christy said, we experienced the same thing at Old South in the emergency area. Yeah, right there. It was wild. And then the room across, I think that was one of the operating rooms that was like directly across Christy. We had some really crazy things happen in there too. Um, But I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. There's another one at um, St. Albans that everybody calls the crawler, and it's this figure that I've seen it. I've seen it twice now, and it's essentially again it's a shadow figure. Like it's not like a full bodied apparition. You know what I mean? Like it's this just straight black entity, and it walks around on all fours like a cat,
Ooh, that's
That's
creepy.
great.
but it is the size and shape of a human.
Okay.
So like even creepier.
Hmm.
Like okay, it's a cat. Nope, nope, it's a person walking around on all fours.
Yeah.
And so we've never interacted with it. The times that I've seen it, it's like there were three of us standing there watching this thing as it literally like a cat walked out of a room, like kind of like um I don't know how to describe it, but it kind of like just casually came out of the room like a cat would do, and then it's as if it noticed us, and then it just kind of like ran down the hallway. Um,
Um,
Two of us ran after it, and one of my other teammates ran the opposite direction away
that
from
would be
it. But it doesn't. It's very odd, right? Like I've always had trouble trying to create some in like sense around what exactly is going on with that. I've gotten some really interesting pictures that have like these shadow figures in them. There's one from a place called Henricus Historical Park, which is one of the locations here that we work with, and have never been able to recreate it. We that picture was taken probably 10 years ago, um, and we've been back investigating multiple times every year, and have never been able to recreate it. Um,
wow.
so I don't know. I have no idea really
Yeah,
what it could or couldn't be or is or isn't. They're
Well,
just
we know that it's very
very weird.
intelligent. That's for sure.
our boss, Mr. Joe Montaldo, he gave us a little bit extra time tonight to
Oh,
yeah,
good.
so we could, if that's
Thank you.
okay with you, Steve, if you
Yeah,
could hang
we're
around
good. We
at
can keep
You're
least
on
more
another
than,
roll.
10 more minutes to see if we can come up with it.
but the
Yeah.
shadow person is very intelligent. Um, we have seen it firsthand, and I've heard of the all fours. I've heard of that too.
Well, we got years ago, I think 2017, we got what we think is the Jersey Devil on, and I can show that to you. It is crazy.
That's cool.
It's the
I've
most,
always wanted to go Jersey devil hunting.
it is the
I
most,
uh, I was born in Jersey, so that's like one of my things I
mm,
want to do.
I forget the name of the cemetery. I can send you the picture and you can tell me what you think.
You
It's
should.
the
Yeah,
That'd
they
be
were in where were you, in a
we
graveyard?
were yeah, we were we were working on the Crosby case with Staten Island, and we were looking for one of the girls' cemeteries that we found, and we were getting rocks thrown at us, and it was very scary, wild, and then we caught this thing, and
Yeah, that thing is wild. That thing
That's
is
cool.
that was
huge.
probably the most scariest
Whatever that
thing
thing
I've
was,
ever experienced.
makes you wonder. Yeah. Okay, folks, time for, let's see
Wait,
what we
where are
got
we?
here.
I can't.
So, about those free tickets. Oh, wait, who said my name? No, I'm not. Can't say me again. But
You don't even
here
like
it
to leave the
is.
house.
Here it is. I need a chauffeur. The first name, and again, it's so hard. I don't want to be here all night. And I think it's unfair
But we're
if
gonna have to give it.
no. It has to be on this show because it's unfair
No,
if someone
right.
just says to Steve
Okay.
a
Yeah.
name. So the first
Give it as a
name.
hint.
Oh, thank you, Tom. Said a good show.
Oh, hey
thank
Tom.
you. We try.
It is a good show. Are you serious? You actually like this? Wow.
Joe will be happy tonight.
Wow.
Joe and Michelle will be
Maybe
very
we'll
happy
do another
today.
show after this. The first name of the person that was on our network,
A
on
little
this
hint.
network,
A little
the
hint.
first name is Keith. Go ahead and get him, guys.
Okay,
The
the
first
whole thing.
name is Keith. I didn't give away anything because it's not.
All right.
Gotta see some Googling.
Yeah, they were gonna
So
Google.
go ahead and get that Google search out.
Damn, I didn't think this would be so hard.
Hard and complicated. Hey, as our guest, and I gave you a
Keith Bailey. No,
No.
damn. Go again.
Keith Bailey. Isn't that from It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Bailey?
Yes, you got it.
Donna, you are the winner.
You are the winner.
All right, Donna.
All right,
Donna. Donna.
All right, Donna, I will get you your
win
tickets.
Everything.
Message me, Donna, and I'll get you hooked up.
Oh yeah, message. That's right.
Wow, Donna actually listens to our show.
Thank you, Donna. You're in a funny role today, Phil.
Yeah. Donna, congratulations.
I
You
can't
should be
see.
jumping around your home right now, excited.
You get to meet
calling
the
all your
ghost
neighbors.
finders. Very
Yeah,
exciting.
That's awesome.
What? I can't see.
And you get one free pass to the Horsefly Chronicles home in Easton, Pennsylvania.
Well, yeah, no.
If you dare.
No.
Hey, what do you have going on? Like, what's on your bucket list, Steve?
Bucket list or upcoming events and things.
Yeah.
And things
Yeah,
going
what's
on.
on your upcoming
Okay.
list? The Winchester
Bucket
one?
list is very different than my bucket list is like all across the world. So upcoming stuff. Obviously we've got the Hanover Tavern Paracon coming up, which again January 21st. And general admission tickets are still available. We are going to have a gallery reading, and that's going to be done by the Sisterhood of Magic and Wonders, some really good friends of ours. They're going to do a gallery reading that day, and tickets for that are $20. It's the only thing that is kind of like separated. And then we will have a investigation of the tavern that evening, and that will be $65. But that also includes 5 locations. So we're going to be investigating the Hanover Tavern, the historic courthouse, which is the 3rd oldest courthouse, continuously operating courthouse in America. The Old Stone Jail, which sits right there, that was built in like the 1840s, I think it was. We're going to investigate the Pamunkey Library, which sits directly next to and probably on top of a number of graves, and the original Clerk of Courts building that is right there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. You'll get to investigate with all of the speakers that are going to be there. And like all of the the guest teams and guest folks that are going to be there. So that's going to be a really, really cool night. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're gonna make an awesome evening out of it. After that, let's see. March 11th. We haven't announced this yet, but March 11th, we're gonna be back at the Hanover Tavern, but this time we're gonna be spending half of the evening at a place called Scotchtown, which is a location that Patrick Henry lived at for a number of years. It's also where his wife Sarah Shelton ended up passing away. She the popular theory, but possibly not, is she had postpartum psychosis or depression. And so she was, for lack of a better term, locked up in the basement until she passed away. So we will be at Scotchtown in the tavern. Then April 21st and 22nd, we will be at Enigma Cons, which is a conference at St. Albans Sanatorium. And that is like one of my favorite places in Virginia. Love some St. Albans.
Someone that just said keep Linda, but I'm so sorry. It was already said.
Close. So close. And then let's see the big ones. July 14th to the 16th. I'll be at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash with my team. I'll be presenting up there, and that's close to you guys. So I love Gettysburg. The Bash is always a lot of fun. So we have a lot of stuff. We haven't announced, but it's gonna be
It's awesome. I love it over there.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's had a great show. A lot of fun. I might continue this.
You're having a lot of fun tonight. So thank you again so much. We want to have a special thank you to Carnation for fully sponsoring the show. We love them. They've been sponsoring the show from day one. So please join us next Monday night, same time, on 105.3 FM from New Orleans. And stay tuned from Trish Moe with the missing piece. And also, if you guys are looking for, my eyes are real bad.
If you're looking for credit repair, everybody, Julie and I got involved with the business. Carmine Consulting for all your credit needs. My score went up 75 points in 60 days. You can reach us at 484-241-6444. 425.
Yes.
CalmOnConsulting.biz. This has been a great show, everyone. Have a safe week.
And Donna, don't forget to message Steve for your free ticket.
And anyone who private messages me, my favorite color gets a one night at the Horsefly Chronicles home with a free breakfast and lunch. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, Steve. Thank you.